hopefully will help get the message across that, people have the right of voting their language, bring an interpreter, and that we're available at select poll sites to provide support. This was a new initiative that we launched last June before the June 2025 primary. And we're keeping this alive because it's a very efficient way of reaching the language communities in their language through trusted partners, that in this case are community organizations. I believe several of you have been in roundtables, press roundtables in the past. And as Dr. said, I just want to add a couple of her words. It's your work to inform and educate the language communities in your city is vital to our efforts to expand language access to language communities in New York City. I was explaining a little bit about what language access measures and assistance exists right now in New York City. First of all, New Yorkers have the right to bring an interpreter of their choice to the polls. It can be anyone except for a union representative or a supervisor. Secondly, the Board of Election, as Dr. Said mentioned, provides voter interpretation services under the Federal Voting Rights Act, primarily for Spanish and Asian languages, and more recently, based on the New York John R. Lewis Voting Rights Act. On the other hand, the Voter Language Assistance Program operates at the city level and expands language access for language communities, top language communities that in jurisdictions that are not covered by the Board of Elections and the federal and the New York State legislation. So we currently provide services in 13 languages: Albanian, Arabic, Bangla, Chinese, French, Haitian Creole, Greek, Italian, Korean, Polish, Russian, Urdu, and Yiddish. Now, Albanian and Greek are in red here because they were just recently added to our language offerings. Our commissioners voted on April 30th to add those two languages. Due to the, so outside of the language that we were already providing services, Albanian and Greek, well, Greek and Albanian in that order, represent the highest count of citizen of voting age with limited English proficiency that speak those two languages. So these two were added based on the data. Some of the Arabic language that you see listed here, like Chinese, we do not provide Chinese services across New York City because, as I mentioned earlier, the Board of Election provides Asian services in Asian languages based on the federal and state legislation. So as of now, we only offer Chinese services in the Bronx. And there are different jurisdictions, different exclusions, right? For the Asian languages that you see here, including Urdu, Korean, and Chinese, as I just explained, and Bangla. We operate based on a methodology that relies on American Community Survey data. So the pie chart that you're seeing at the moment is a representation of the percent share of services that each of the language communities covered by the program receive out of the total of services that we can afford to provide with our resources. So you'll see Russian 39%. Russian will get 39% of our services because Russian-speaking citizen of voting age with limited English proficiency, they make up 39% of the total universe of citizen of voting age with limited English proficiency that are eligible for our services. In contrast, you'll see Chinese percent share at 1%, and that is because Chinese, as I just mentioned, Chinese-speaking CVA-LEPs that are eligible for our services are only those that live in the Bronx and they are only about 2,000 right now. So that 2,000 is only like 1% of 200 plus thousand that are eligible for our services in the jurisdictions that we're allowed to provide services. So that was a little bit of context, like how do we operate? How do we decide to allocate services for each language community? From November 2019, we have provided voter interpretation services for over 10,700 voters with limited English proficiency, and many more have received general assistance because our teams, our interpreters are there at the poll sites. And even though people may not need help with interpretation or language, they may need other assistance. So a lot more, many more people have been assisted by our interpreters. For the June primary services, we're scaling up for this June primary. Oh, I'm sorry. It looks like you have an outdated version there a little bit. Just refresh. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, so you may all know that the early voting is kicking off this Saturday, June 13. It's running through June 21st, Sunday, June 21st. Election day is June 23rd. There are several deadlines that are tied to this primary. June 13, the Board of Election must have received the voter registration form submitted either online or by mail. The same deadline is valid for the Board of Elections who have received absentee mail or online ballots. Requests submitted by mail or online. And June 22nd is the last day for people to apply in person in the Board of Election office to get an absentee ballot. June 23rd is election day, and it's also the last day for those who ask for an absentee ballot to either postmark it, so drop it at the post office and make sure it gets postmarked, or drop it off in person at a poll site in their borough. In terms of our services, we will kick off early voting services June 19th with Yiddish early voting services only. So because of Shabbat, we provide Yiddish early voting services the last Friday and Sunday of the early voting period. And then on June 20th and 21st, we'll be at 50 poll sites. Covering all the other languages. We'll be at 50 poll sites, as I just mentioned, and about half of those poll sites will have interpreters in at least 2 languages. So we'll be providing a total of 86 language services at 50 poll sites, 50 early voting poll sites. On election day, we will have interpreters at 100 poll sites. 3 of those poll sites will have 2 language services, so the total of language services is 103. Election day, as you know, it's a long day for interpreters and for Board of Election workers. So our teams, our interpreters operate in teams of 2. On early voting, it's usually 1 interpreter per language at each poll site. And the people that you see in the picture, they're not professional interpreters. They are bilingual community members. So we work with our vendor to hire bilingual community members to serve as interpreters. They always recruit ahead of every election. In fact, right now they're still recruiting for some of the languages. So you're welcome to share that information out in your report. Yeah, some of these people go on to become professional interpreters and work with translation interpretation companies. This is a breakdown of services by borough and language for early voting. So you'll see there are 86. The grand total is 86 there across the 5 boroughs. In terms of distribution of language services per borough, we have 9 in the Bronx, 41 in Brooklyn, because that's where the concentration of our, that's where the poll sites with the highest concentration of the languages that we cover in CVLEPs are. So 41 in Brooklyn, 27 in Queens, and 9, on Staten Island. You'll see some gaps there. For example, Bengali, there's 0 in Brooklyn, Queens, and Staten Island. And that's because one by the Board of Election in Queens and Brooklyn. And then there's no concentration of Bangla speakers on Staten Island. So that's why you see 0 for Staten Island. But we do have a concentration of Bangla services and Bangla speakers in the Bronx. So that's why you'll see 2 in the Bronx. This next table represents a breakdown of services, election day services by borough and language. So you'll see the grand total is 103 language services. You'll see Albanian and Greek, which are our new languages. There's 3 poll sites in the Bronx that we're covering with Albanian, and 4 in Queens, Astoria, Queens, that we're providing Greek. Again, we are picking the poll sites based on the data, where the data tells us that the highest concentration of speakers of these languages with limited English proficiency are, right? And then we have the financial resources constraints, right? We cannot be everywhere. Our budget has not changed over the years. It's remained the same. Sometimes we also have had to take a little bit of some cuts and pecks, how they're called in city government. So we're trying our best to serve the highest number of LP voters possible with the resources that we have available. This map is just it's a Google map. It's just a representation of our where the poll sites are. We're also going to share with you the digital toolkit, the link itself, so you also can just like go and get that information directly online. But you'll see we have a major concentration of poll sites in South Brooklyn and South Central Brooklyn, and then some poll sites in Northern Brooklyn, a few in the Bronx, and then still a few on Staten Island. So Brooklyn is heavily LEP when it comes to the language communities that are eligible for our services. In terms of content and how do we get the word out? So first of all, we're trying to connect with you all today to get the information out with your help to the language communities that we cover. We do every election, we do translate the information, we put it together, package it, post it on our website. You'll see this page is a screenshot of our web page. The short link for that is on.nyc.gov/BLA. So it's so to speak, the homepage is in English, but at the top of that page, you'll see there are hyperlinks that take you to language versions of this information that is translated into all 13 of the languages that we cover, plus Spanish. So Spanish is not one of the languages that we cover, but just because it's such a huge community, language community, we try to have the information in Spanish. We make it available. Additionally, we do produce a digital toolkit that has key information about the election, our services, voter rights. So we heavily try to amplify, to put out the message that anyone in New York City, independent on whether there are interpreters from the CC or the Board of Elections, they may bring an interpreter of their choice to the polls. It can be anyone except for a union representative or a supervisor, and they don't even have to be an adult. So grandkids can help people, can accompany people to vote, and can accompany them into the voting booth, not just, show up with them at the information desk, right? So they can get anyone to assist them throughout the voting process. So the information here also includes sample language translated into the 13 languages that we provide services in, graphics, PSA. We cannot scroll down. I guess you could try, but it might just like click on the link. So there's sample language. We've linked the assets in English and all of the 13 languages. There is a PSA that we have produced in the past, is subtitles and voiced over in all languages, but Albanian and Greek, because those two were added to our language offerings very recently. And we also have a new multilingual, multi-language asset. 30-second, it's kind of a cool asset, because when we're posting, where my colleagues Joel and Sophia are posting on social media, it's kind of a struggle to like, how do we make it inclusive and try to cover or reach as many of the language communities that we provide services in. So this is a brand new asset that hopefully will help get the message across that, people have the right to vote in their language, bring an interpreter, and that we're available at select poll sites to provide support. We will make this link available to all of you, so you can access the toolkit. You can download the PSA, the Evergreen PSA that's language specific. It's available, as I mentioned, in English and 11 languages, plus the new asset. We also do produce materials in all of the VLA languages. So we work with partners to get this out with Canvas, with help from our outreach team. So we do get this out to the communities that we serve. Finally, we do partner with community organizations that are direct service providers in these geographies that we cover with services and work with language communities. This was a new initiative that we launched last June, before the June 2025 primary. And we're keeping this alive because it's a very efficient way of reaching the language communities in their language through trusted partners, that in this case are community organizations. These pictures are from November 2025, because the sessions for this primary are still ongoing, so we don't have the reporting back with pictures and videos. But these are this is a very crucial partnership, and organizations that don't even do civic engagement. They're getting trained by us, they're getting the content, so they have all the information. We're putting together PowerPoint presentations in language, and then the facilitator that speaks the language and is trained by us holds these info sessions in the geographies where we're actually serving these people. So yeah, we're really proud of this initiative, and we're hoping to expand in the future. Any questions? Oh, important reminder. So please do remind everyone, they can bring anyone to the polls to help them vote. Inside the voting booth, inside the privacy booth, at the scanner, okay? They do not have to just be accompanied to the polls, okay? It can be confusing, it can be, process, even if they are things they can manage, anyone should bring someone to help them out. that was it. So this is the PSA. I don't think we need to play it, but this is a PSA. I believe those of you who've been here before know about it. It's linked in the toolkit. You can use this later. It's on YouTube to illustrate the reporting that those of you who are broadcast, I guess, or online. And yeah, that was it. Questions? Sure.
Okay. And you said, I don't know, because you said this is a voter language assistance program, you provide the Bronx membership people.
Mhm.
And you said that for the police, the voter BOE,
Mhm.
voter election provides
Yes.
services.
Yes. Yes.
Specifically. What about the voting? The missing or you didn't mention it? Because a lot of ownership people live in.
No, I did mention the Brooklyn is also covered by the BOE.
Oh.
Yeah, select poll sites. They also do not provide services everywhere.
But you mentioned about the satellite, and I noticed very less number of others people live.
Yeah.
Satellite.
Less, it's less. There are communities that live there, but less.
Most of the people live in Queens, Bronx, and Brooklyn.
Yeah. Did you already talk about the changes in state law?
I mentioned the state law, but so last November, there were changes introduced due to the John R. Lewis Voting Rights Act, which I mentioned earlier. So that law lowered the threshold for the Board of Election, the county threshold of CDLEPs for Asian and Spanish and Latin Spanish languages. So languages that are covered by the Federal Voting Rights Act. The New York State John R. Lewis Voting Rights Act lowered the threshold for the Board of Election. And so the Board of Election took over because of these changes. They had to start providing Chinese on Staten Island because there were more than 4,000 Chinese speaking CVLEPs on Staten Island. They took over Urdu and Urdu speaking CVLEP. So, and the other one was, I believe, Bangla, also in Brooklyn. So those thresholds were met, and they were transferred from us. The responsibility was taken over by the Board of Election starting last November.
Yeah, and I remember, and someone was, I forget on the call who was from the Filipino.
Tagalog. Mhm.
As well, and so the Board of Elections is also providing interpretation. Tagalog, yeah.
Tagalog.
Tagalog, yeah, not Filipino, sorry. For the Filipino community, yeah.
In Queens only.
So for the voters, like I should tell my readers that, if they want like to do, and they want to go like in Brooklyn, there are 7 poll sites, and I told. So they have to go to the website, search where the.
So, that's a really good question. So that's something we need to clarify, right? Voters need to go out to vote, show up to vote at the poll site that's been assigned to them by the Board of Elections. They cannot choose to go to a poll site that is covered or has CC interpretation services or interpreters. They cannot do that, right? So if they can go to the Board of Election website, check their early voting poll site, check their election day poll site, and then they can go to the CC website, right? They'll see our map there, the list of poll sites. If we cover it in their language, in a language they speak, fine. If that poll site that they're supposed to vote at doesn't have a service, unfortunately, they cannot choose to just go to a poll site that has the service. They need to show up. They need to go to the poll site assigned by the Board of Election and bring someone to interpret, to help them out, family, neighbor, grandkid.
It's easier to bring their own interpreter.
Yeah, that's why we always make sure to tell everybody that they have the right to bring an interpreter with them, because we can't be everywhere,
Yeah.
right? So we just want to
Yeah.
make sure people are empowered to go and vote anyway by bringing, as long as it's not
Yeah.
a union rep or their employer,
Yeah.
they can bring anybody with them. Right?
I'm sorry. So Eric is, needs to drop off at 2. So please, Eric, do, take the floor and talk about, CFB's work, related to the June primary.
Anila, thank you. Thank you, Anila, and apologies that I need to drop off a little bit early, but I want to thank you and your colleagues, certainly for the invitation to join you guys today, but really also for all of the work you do to ensure that we cross through folks who may face barriers because of language. I'll take a few minutes. I'll share some information. I do not have a slide deck to share. I apologize for that. I'm going to drop some information over here in the chat for folks to sort of get a sense of what some of the services we're providing around this year's election. But I'll just take a few minutes to talk about CFB and what we do and why we're here. So the New York City Campaign Finance Board, generally our work serves, is really aligned with the work that our colleagues here at the CEC are doing to help make democracy in New York City more open, more accessible, more transparent, more equitable. And we do this in 2 main ways. We administer the matching funds program for city elections, and for folks who were following last year's election, the matching funds system plays a large role in helping elect a mayor, members of city council. We also administer NYC Votes, which is a nonpartisan, independent initiative that is focused on making it easier for all New Yorkers to participate in local elections. We have a specific mandate in the city charter to prioritize New Yorkers who are underrepresented in our politics or who face additional barriers to voting. So, the Board of Elections is their job to print the ballots and run the poll sites. Civic Engagement Commission supplements the work that they do by helping ensure that folks who are showing up at the polls, if they need additional language support, have that available to them. And we kind of layer in next to all that to reach out, to provide information to all New Yorkers, but again, very specifically in communities that are underrepresented among voters. And so, through our work and our research has helped define, 4 main priority audiences for our work. So that includes young voters under 30. It includes, really pertinent to this conversation, immigrant voters and voters who speak languages other than English. It also includes voters with disabilities and voters who've been impacted by the criminal legal system. As part of developing our outreach strategy, that we've also focused a lot of the work we do in specific areas of the city, right? So this includes where specific areas of the city where there are concentrations of those demographics that I mentioned, particularly folks who speak languages other than English, and in areas where there has been traditionally low engagement, low voter turnout. So we focus a lot of our work specifically in the South Bronx, in kind of a cluster of neighborhoods in kind of north central Queens, including Flushing, Elmhurst, and Corona, and in a large part of South and Southeast Brooklyn. So communities across Sunset Park, Bensonhurst, Canarsie, East New York, Cypress Hills. Very diverse set of needs in a lot of those communities, but there's a lot we do to try to open up participation in those areas and really attack those obstacles and barriers that a lot of New Yorkers face in terms of participation. So I'll talk briefly about a number of the resources that we have available to folks. I will go through some of the links I posted in the chat. Our website, nycvotes.org. Again, we have a lot of the information that Anila shared earlier about like the basic facts about every election will always be available at nycvotes.org. That website is translated into 13 languages other than English. Those include Arabic, Bengali, Chinese, both simplified and traditional Chinese, French, Haitian Creole, Hindi, Korean, Polish, Punjabi, Russian, Spanish, and Urdu. You know, our flagship resource that we provide for voters also is published in all of those languages. We publish the voter guide that goes to all New Yorkers. If you live in the city, you received one of these in your mail last year, right before the primary and the general election. For years like this one, where we are electing candidates for state and federal elected office, we publish a voter guide that goes online. So it lives on our website. The link to that website, when it is published later this week, we're just putting the finishing touches on the voter guide for this month's primary. So it will be available to voters in a couple days, and it will have, you know, profiles that the candidates for each office have provided, right? So we do outreach to everybody who's on the ballot, and ask them to provide information that like basic biographical information and state really in just a couple days. So, you know, feel free. I will, before I leave, I will make sure I have my email. I'll post my email in the chat. If folks are not connected with us and on our email list, you know, I definitely reach out to me and we'll make sure we get you on that list. I mentioned the voter guide. We also, through our, you know, we have a partnerships and outreach team that provides a lot of, you know, we work with organizations all over the city, but again, focused on those areas that I described earlier, and provide trainings to members of those communities, to help them understand kind of how to deepen their participation in the election system and in our local democracy generally. You know, a lot of those partners help us to speak with communities who need their information in languages other than English, and so we there's I do not have a list of those events upcoming available to me, but you know, for some of those events that we're running, there is a link to our NYC Votes events calendar that I've posted there in the chat. You could find that there as well. You know, we also, if you've been out and around the city in the last couple of weeks, you may have seen some of the advertising that we do through our NYC Votes initiative to help make more people aware of the dates of the upcoming election and to help them participate, help connect them with our resources. Those advertisements are running, you know, they out of home. You know, you'll see murals out around the city. You'll see kind of live boards up on transit, bus shelters, on kind of the NYC Link kiosks. We've got, we're working with laundromats, and we have print advertisements that are appearing in laundromats across the city, and all of that is being done in addition to the English language advertising we do in additional 9 languages, so 10 languages overall. And I think the last thing I'll mention, and I see a couple of hands raised, and I can take a few minutes before 2 o'clock if folks have questions for me, is you know, we communicate with a lot of folks on social media, and not just in English, and they're doing that increasingly in languages other than English. There are links there to our Instagram and our Facebook channels. You can find a lot of that content there. Yeah, I'll pause, and really, again, I'm thankful for the opportunity to share some of this information with this group. You know, the work you do is so important to helping New Yorkers navigate, you know, what a system that can be, look, for better or for worse, voting can sometimes feel, you know, bureaucratic, and kind of, you know, it may feel as though folks are making it difficult on purpose. We're not making it difficult on purpose, but we are here. CFB and NYC Votes and the Civic Engagement Commission are all here to help New Yorkers, you know, meet New Yorkers where they are and get them the information that they can understand to help them navigate this process, and really appreciate you coming here to support this work and to be partners with us in this work. So thank you. If folks have questions for me, I can take a few minutes.
Yes, go ahead. I think Mushra was first to raise her hand.
It's okay, go ahead.
All right, thank you. thank you so much for putting this together. We really appreciate you guys. And it's very important. As you know, New York City is an immigrant city. And this is very important. I will speak for the French side of it. For many, many years, Suno Africa Radio, Suno Africa NTV, and SunoAfricaRadio.com, which is the website. We've been serving the African community, Francophone community. But for quite a while now, we haven't heard no advertisement. I just heard Eric talk about advertisement. It's very important. And I heard people talking about new media. I understand new media is very important, but ethnic media, as you can see, election happening. That's why we have a mayor today, sitting where he is today because of the immigrant community. So if today we don't get no advertisement coming from this administration, it's something that really frustrating. So I just want to make sure about that. But we really appreciate this. Usually around this time, we used to get advertisement from De Blasio to Eric Adam to now our brother Mandani. So it's just a question I'm asking. How come people know about it, but some people don't know about it? The new media, yes, some people are all about new media, but some people are not about new media. And I think we should be all of it. You should be able to reach out all the New Yorkers, whatever they may come from, whatever media they are using. And this is very important. And my question is now, I know that time is really short. It's very close to getting to elections. What are you guys planning to do with the ethnic media? Thank you again for putting this together. Appreciate you guys.
I really appreciate the question, and I think I know you're right that not everybody is getting their information from one of these. It is increasingly an important part of the way that we communicate to folks, but some folks, they need to have the paper to read in their hand. Every community has trusted messengers, who are kind of like neighborhood hubs. Where folks kind of, just whether it's an organization.
I'm sorry, Eric.
So,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
In our case, it's the radio and then the website,
Yeah.
and some people have a TV, some people have a newspaper.
No, that's exactly
wanted
right.
to-
And no, I appreciate it. And I think that's part of that's the knowledge that I think in order to be effective, we have to get into every community and learn that on the ground. So like my contact information is there in the chat. If you'd like to continue that conversation, I'm happy to do it. I'll say that we work with a firm that helps us make choices about where to advertise so that we can make sure that we're reaching folks. And so that we're constantly assessing after every election how to best do that and how to reach people. So again, my contact information is there. I'm happy to continue the conversation.
Hi, thank you so much for including us in the conversation. Thank you, Dr. Said, Anila, Eric, Joel. Anila and Eric, you guys covered most of my questions. Thank you. But I had one more question. Looking at the data you have shared today, what is one gap in voters outreach that still concerns you the most? And what can community organizations and ethnic media can do to help close that gap?
Well, I would say the gap is there. Generally, there is a gap. We're not reaching everyone that we're supposed to reach. As I mentioned earlier, 1 in 4 in New York City is limited English proficient. And our resources are limited. So 95% of our resources go towards providing the services, right? So it's always a challenge where under-resourced, understaffed is always a challenge to reach the diverse communities that we are we cover with the Voter Language Assistance Program. So there's definitely a lot of opportunity for ethnic media to be the bridge between the services that the CC provides, the services and information that Campaign Finance Board provides, and the language communities. So almost all of you work with language communities, and it's vital that they get this information and they become civically engaged and participate in the civic life of New York City, not just in the economic life, right? So you definitely have a role to play, a very important role. I cannot think of an approach or a tool that could be more effective than having you serve as a bridge between city services and these communities, the communities that you serve. And we know funding for ads is not available. It's not, it's not as extensive as it was before during COVID. So that is a challenge. And I know that a lot of you have to pivot and get more creative. But we can all agree, I should say, that it's vital that we empower these people to know their rights, to know what's going on around them, to know how they can actually play a role. So definitely, we don't want to do this roundtables just when the election is around the corner. We're more than happy to be in touch with you throughout the year. If you want to talk to Dr. Said or myself or any other colleague, the participatory budgeting program team, you are more than welcome to reach out and do that, and we'll give you everything you need.
I think it's important for us to like strategize and think about how we talk about immigrant communities, right? Everyone, we all working with immigrant communities, we are from immigrant communities, and we often think about them as how they contribute to the economy, right? That's the frame that we use. I think we also need to include how they're important to democracy, right? Why is their voice important? And start to think about the stories that you're telling from that angle, right? Who are the people in these communities, and you know who they are, who are very civically engaged, who go to who are community board members, who go vote, who, do all kinds of other civic engagement, and start to profile their stories so that they can be inspiration, right? And you have like people serving on nonprofit boards. I know the Bangladeshi community has so many civic organizations. It's one of the most prolific in terms of the civic associations that it has. So really highlighting the importance of immigrants to democracy, I think also is very important in this time with everything happening at the federal level. So just shifting the framework, and that's something you can do independently of the ads that you may get. I mean, for our end, we know it's not enough to just provide services. It's not enough to just translate. You actually have to connect with communities on the ground. And you have to build the relationships on the ground, right? And build relationships with all of you is part of it.
Organizations, they have funding strictly from the state.
Yes.
We are the, the newspaper, we don't have like a fund from anywhere. So all we depend on the ads. And when you, you write one time, two times, three times, but at the end, you want like to have something to support you.
Yeah.
Financially, to support you, because like working without the ad organization, they are very rich, they have money from everywhere. But the ethnic media, they don't have nothing. So this is, what all the time, I feel like, bad when our, my colleagues of the newspapers, they ask for ads, but they are right.
Yeah.
Until when we can, go come and do and say, make service for our community and for the administration without nothing, So I don't know, this gap, how can we make it,
Yeah, Eric, did you want to add?
Yeah, I'm just gonna add one thing, and before I have to jump off, and again, apologize for having to leave early, but I think everything folks said in response to the question is really important, and just the thing I would add to it is, with everything happening right now, we're in a moment where government is not always the best messenger in every community, right? Mistrust and distrust in government is such a high right now, in this moment we're living through, that having like partnerships with platforms like yours, like with partners working in communities, showing up every day, is so important for all of our work to ensure that folks have the tools they need. And we can't be effective without those partnerships. So again, I appreciate the question. If there is a gap, that's the gap I see, is just kind of how we transcend that trust gap. I think folks have spoken really beautifully about that. So I just wanted to kind of echo that and take a couple extra minutes. But again, thank you again for providing the space for me to join this conversation and to share some information about the work we do. My email and contact information is in the chat for anybody who wants to talk further. So thanks again.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you,
Thank
Eric.
you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think somebody else had, Eric?
Question?
Yeah, Eric had said in that my question is for CEC. Or sorry, Gonzalo Duran.
Yeah, Gonzalo, do you want to ask your questions?
Yes, hello, everyone. So I just want to, in my last article with the CC, I wasn't able to clarify something, and I might have missed it today. But where exactly do you get the percentage and the numbers that you need so you can dictate where you put the translators, the interpreters?
Yeah, it's based on American Community Survey data. The Department of City Planning, they put out the data that's collected through the American Community Survey. So they process and they package it and they make it available. So if you're curious about the population, including limited English proficiency, you can go to the Department of City Planning website. It has fascinating data. So that data, ACS at the district level, Puma level and district level, then gets a portion to election districts, right? By data scientists. And then that's how we come up with an estimate. It's not exact science, because American Community Survey data itself, it's not exact science, just a survey. Based on this estimate, so there's American Community Survey data that captures citizen of voting age with limited English proficiency, right? So that's that estimate at the Puma level and the district level, right? And then those get a portion, so there's not quite overlap with election districts. So data scientists have developed a way to come up with an estimate of citizen of voting age, so 18 and older with limited English proficiency, that live in the election districts that are assigned to poll sites. And then they tally up the estimate of citizen of voting age with limited English proficiency that speak a particular language, at these EDs, ADs, assigned to a poll site, right? And we rank the poll site. So we have, so for each poll site at the Board of Elections, so the Board of Elections sends a list of early voting poll sites and election day poll sites. And the data scientists then come up with an estimate of speakers, CBLEPs, for all of the VLA languages at every one of these poll sites. And then if we're going to provide 100 poll sites with services on election day, right? Based on the percent share, 39% of poll sites or services should go to Russia, right? So we look at the CBLEP at the poll site ranking for Russia. So we're going to look at which ones are the 40 poll sites that rank the highest in terms of citizen of voting age with limited English proficiency concentration. But CBLEPs that speak Russian, right? So the data is there. That it's an estimate. It's not exact science, but it's basically American Community Survey data is the data that we work with.
Okay, so the survey is used to break it down to where the interpreters are going. Great, I understand that part.
Mm-hmm.
And for the purposes of the CEC and New York City elections, participating budgeting doesn't matter your immigration status, everybody can vote, 11 and up. But for voting purposes, US citizens, and that's the differentiate between the two at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Perfect.
to vote, you have to be a citizen.
Okay.
Yeah. And for sure, PB is, participatory budgeting is open to anyone 11 and older, independent of immigration status.
Moshe, do you want to ask your question?
No, my hand is raised. I don't know how to take it off, but no
Oh,
questions.
no worries. Does anyone else have any other questions? Virtually or in the room?
So I dropped in the chat the links to the website and the links to the toolkit. I can also copy and paste the links. So if you have, so I briefly mentioned that our vendor is still looking to hire bilingual community members for June services. So I'm happy to copy and paste those links in the chat. Looking for the presentation now, I think. I found it.
Is there a way we could receive the Zoom meeting that we just did on our emails, if possible?
Receive what? I'm sorry? By
Can we
email?
have like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Darwell is gonna send out,
And all the files for chats about the agreements.
yeah,
thank you,
okay.
appreciate it, thank you.
Of course.
Okay,
Well, thanks everyone for joining. We really appreciate you taking the time and trying and helping us advocate and spread the message of the Board Language Systems Program and especially budgeting to the different communities. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us via email. You have our contact information, but if you can also reach out to us via email if you have any questions or want to follow up on any of the points that we made today. And we're happy to talk, not just during election time, but even after or anytime throughout the year, if there's any kind of support to kind of better engage our language communities across the city. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you so much.
thank you all.
New York City's 5 boroughs are home to millions of registered voters. And across the 302 square miles of our city, over 700 languages are spoken. Almost half of our neighbors speak a language other than English at home. Elections are moments where we come together, energized by the hope we have for our loved ones and our communities to help decide our shared future. New York City's Civic Engagement Commission provides interpretation services at select poll sites across the city in 11 different languages. If you're registered to vote, our team can welcome you to your polling site, answer your questions about voting, or accompany you as an interpreter under protections of the Federal Voting Rights Act while you vote. You can also bring a friend or family member to interpret for you. The Civic Engagement Commission is invested in your right to vote in your language. Let's exercise our right to vote today to help choose the path we take tomorrow. Vote in your language. The Civic Engagement Commission is here to help.